What's up, guys? So my schedule's a little different today, so I'm gonna have to make this video pretty quick, which is why I'm driving and making the video at the same time. So yeah, I went on a little rant yesterday. That's just how I roll. But it was kind of fun. It made me feel better. Some guy jumped on trying to accuse me of basically telling people that if you come off of the MIT 45s and you start taking the Kratom powder instead, that somehow you're not addicted to Kratom anymore. And I just had to clarify to all the people who might run across my video or might be watching, and also to the jackass who left that comment, that no, that's absolutely not what I'm saying. Kratom is Kratom. You're addicted to Kratom still, even if you come off of the MIT, just like I've done. I haven't taken an MIT in a week and a half, but I'm still taking the Kratom powder. Does that mean that I'm not addicted to Kratom? Absolutely, I'm still addicted to Kratom. Even when I stopped taking Kratom altogether, if you've ever been to any sort of AA or NA or any sort of drug treatment recovery, you understand that you're addicted. Even if you're sober and you stop taking that drug which you are addicted to, then you're still an addict. That doesn't change the fact that just because you're sober doesn't change the fact that you're an addict. And drug treatment centers want you to have that sort of mentality. Once an addict, always an addict. Because if you start thinking, oh, I'm not taking the drug anymore, so now I don't have an addiction, now I'm not an addict anymore, then you're going to end up, what? Thinking that you can control it the next time that you take it. Which is why the whole first rule of thumb is, no, you're still an addict. So with that mindset, that, what that says to you is, I can't control it. I have the mentality and the mindset of an addict, which means I cannot control my drug use. I might as well stop trying. The only way to stop trying is by what? Never take drugs again. I'm not saying I'm going to do that. I'm not saying that. But that is the mindset. And so, just to expand, for the guy who tried to say that I was saying that to people, I think I made my point. I think I put him in his place and made it clear to everyone else that no, you're still addicted to Kratom if you stop taking the MIT and you go onto the Kratom powder. But my position still stands that, if you want to come off of Kratom altogether, that move is probably going to start with first coming off of the very expensive MIT, getting yourself on some cheaper Kratom powder to where you're not going broke every month, and then starting to cut down and taper. That's what my videos are all about, tapering. All right, it's not about, oh, you come off the MITs and take the Kratom powder and now you're not addicted to Kratom anymore. That's not what my videos are about. And so I just want to make that clear to everyone. I'm just trying to give people some hope and encouragement who feel like they're completely trapped and hooked by this addiction, that there is hope. And there is hope outside of just quitting cold turkey. If you're not at a place in your life where you can do that, there is hope outside of quitting cold turkey and being completely miserable for 2 weeks and, having to put on the back burner all of your responsibilities in life because you're going through severe opiate withdrawals. There is another way, and it's called tapering off of the drug, which is what I'm trying to get across to people. But anyway, I'm not going to make this video extremely long. Like I said, I'm kind of short on time today, and so I have about 10 minutes that I can spend on this video, or 10 minutes more, rather. So I tapered down a little bit more last night. You hear that? Jackass troll commenter guy. I tapered down a little bit more last night. I was taking around 13 grams of the Kratom powder. Yesterday, I actually only took about 11.5 grams, so I cut it down by about 1.5 grams yesterday, and I still slept pretty well. So I think what's happening at this point is my body's starting to level out a little bit in terms of coming off of the MIT, because I've discussed this in my previous videos. The MIT has so much kratom alkaloid in it that people are literally just, their tolerance to kratom is going through the freaking roof, man. It's going through the roof because people are getting hooked on these kratom shots, which have such a high amount of the kratom alkaloid in it that they're getting hooked, and then they try to attempt to come off. They start going through severe withdrawals. They try to attempt to switch over to powder, and they're still going through withdrawals because you have to take an ungodly amount of powder to equal the kratom alkaloid that you were getting in the MITs, which is the whole purpose for my channel. My whole purpose is to not say, hey, come off the MIT and just, sit comfortably taking the kratom powder forever. That's not what I'm saying. And absolutely, I think it's fair to say that there haven't been enough studies on kratom for any of us to really know what kind of negative effects it may have on a person's mental and physical health long term. So I'm not dumb enough to sit here and say, oh, well, the kratom powder is harmless. You need to get off the MIT, but the kratom powder is harmless. No. The kratom powder, especially the way an addict takes kratom powder in masses of the powder, is probably not very healthy for a human person. And so it's one of those things where I'm not saying that. I'm sure the kratom powder, definitely has some negative impact on your health. And so the hope and the idea and the plan is to eventually get off of the kratom powder as well. But first, what you need to do is stop taking the MITs, which are $16, $17 a pop. And, people end up spending $200, $250 a week, $1,000 a month on MIT shots, and they're addicted to them, so they won't stop. And not everybody makes the kind of money for that shit. Not everybody can, buy something like that every day and still pay their rent and still keep their lights on in their home. So that's why I'm encouraging people, first and foremost, come off of the MIT. Secondly, get yourself some kratom powder, and you may have to take, 17, 18 grams of it the first couple days, first 2 or 3 days coming off of the MIT, because the MIT has got your tolerance up here, dude. Your tolerance to kratom, if you've been taking the MITs for 6 months, a year, year and a half, like I was doing, then your tolerance is through the freaking roof. And when you go to take the kratom powder, in spite of still taking kratom powder every day, you're still going to go through some withdrawal unless you take a pretty large amount of the kratom powder. Now, are there some risk involved in that? I'm sure there are. Are there any more risk involved in that than there are taking, an MIT every day? Or 2 MITs every day? The jury's still out. We don't know. We don't know. There haven't been enough, scientific studies on kratom to really know how it actually affects people long term and their health. And it is somewhat risky, but I'm only talking about doing that for a little amount of time. With, depending on how much you're taking, within a 12-week period, you should be able to taper down on off of kratom powder to the point where after 3 months, you're completely off of it. And you should be able to do that with minimal disruption to your life, to your responsibilities, to your health, to your just general sense of well-being. And you should be able to do that without avoiding any major withdrawals. And, just last night, I'm about 2.5 weeks off of the MIT now. So my body's starting to kind of get used to not having that, really large amount of the kratom alkaloid in my system. And so now that my body's kind of getting accustomed to the kratom powder again, I'm able to, every 2 or 3 days kind of edge down off of it and cut down by 1.5 grams or so. And it's not really affecting me that bad. Like I said, last night, I woke up maybe around 3 in the morning, and I had a little, just a little kind of a discomforting sort of feeling in my chest, that typical withdrawal feeling. I could notice it there. I could feel it there because, I had cut my, you know, again, I had cut my dosage down for about 1.5 grams, and so I kind of was getting that feeling a little bit, but I was still able to kind of doze back off and fall asleep, and for the most part sleep through it. So it wasn't a big problem. If I would have just quit taking MITs altogether, cold turkey, I would not have shut my eyes and slept for the whole night. Trust me, I know. I have done a cold turkey MIT withdrawal before, and if you want to hear about that, you can go to one of my previous videos, and I talk about it. And I was at a point in my life where I was laid off from a job, but I was still getting paid by that job because they offered me a severance package. So I had about 2 months of my life there where I wasn't working. I didn't have the responsibilities of working every day, but I was still getting paid a salary. And my thought to myself at that time was, wow, this is a great time to come off of the MIT. So I did that, and I did it cold turkey. I didn't taper off of anything. And I'm telling you, I did not sleep for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, I did not sleep. And so withdrawal from MIT 45 is a real freaking thing. And depending on who you are, you may be able to stomach it. You may not be able to. If you're the type of person that can, you know, pull up your bootstraps and strap yourself in, and you can handle the day-to-day feeling like shit, you can handle the physical withdrawals associated, you can handle the not sleeping for multiple nights on end. But if you're a person who can handle that and still go about your life and handle your responsibilities, then I have a ton of respect for you, and that might be the move for you. That might be the move. But a lot of people find that they're just not able to deal with it. And then after a couple of days, once they realize how miserable they are, they end up relapsing. What you don't want to do is end up relapsing. The whole idea is to come off of the kratom, not to come off for a couple of days and then go back on it because you're so miserable. And that's another thing the commenter said. I find it amusing because people, you know, claim that they can get off of the kratom in 3 days without much issue. So what's the point in coming off of it if it's that easy? What's the point in not taking it anymore if it's that easy to come off of it? Dude, you've been listening to the wrong freaking people, because I'm telling you, if you're highly addicted to something like MIT 45, coming off of it is no fucking cakewalk, dude. I can tell you that right now, because I've done it. I've done it. It's no cakewalk. Now, I wouldn't put it up there with like a Percocet withdrawal, because I've been through that as well. There are levels to this thing. There are certainly levels, but it wasn't easy. It was very hard to come off of MIT 45 cold turkey. And the only reason I was able to do it is because I wasn't working at the time. I didn't have a whole lot of responsibility. So if I went nights after night after night after night in a row of not sleeping, it wasn't a huge deal for me at that time. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this thing off. But that's kind of where I'm at. And when you get to a point where you're off of the MIT 45s for a week or two and you're back on the kratom powder, it works, guys. It works. If you chop it down by 1 gram and a half. Some people say even less. Some people say do even a slower taper. They say go every 3 or 4 days, go and cut down by like a 0.5 gram or something. If you do that and you stay the course and you stick with it, you should be able to eventually, after 3 or 4 months, get completely off of the kratom. Completely. Which is the goal at the end of the day, unless you just want to stay addicted to something. I do not, which is why I'm tapering. Again, if you're a person that is at a point in your life where you can go cold turkey, more power to you. By all means, do that, because it is a quicker road at the end of the day to getting off of the drug. I agree with that. But my point is, and my point has always been, a lot of people just aren't in a position where they can do that. And furthermore, even more people are in a position where they're just not going to do that because it's too freaking hard for them. And so you have to decide what is the best course of action for you, but I am giving an option there. That's all I'm doing, is sharing my own experiences with this and giving an option. Maybe to some of those people who don't have a lot of experience. Maybe the MITs or the Kratom is your first experience with an opiate addiction. I'm a 46-year-old guy. It's not my first experience, and it's not my first time to the rodeo, as the old folks say. And so I'm just sharing that experience with, you know, other people who may be looking to also come off of the Kratom. And that's why I'm here. Hey guys, I appreciate you watching the channel, tuning back in, and check back tomorrow. You know, I'll have another video for you. All right, we'll see you guys next time. All right, peace.